is, black people aren't really identified, I don't think, by color so much. So, for example, when someone is told that they, for example, look like a specific celebrity, they're not usually based off of color rather than facial features or something else in common. I know this because my mother, for example, would get how she looks like many people who aren't the same complexion as her, like, for example, Halle Berry, Stacey Dash, Jada Pinkett Smith, and so forth. People aren't always so specific on the skin tone of a black person. So, for example, when you say that sometimes people are not really feeling like they are embraced or their phenotype is not celebrated, many of the time a black woman who is dark skinned might see other celebrities, black female celebrities, that have a phenotype that is celebrated, and they feel like they share a phenotype with that person regardless of their skin tone. Skin tone doesn't find someone's phenotype. You know what I mean? There are plenty of black people that look like other black people, and they could be completely different complexions, so to speak. So that's why I feel like black women, even if they're dark skinned, will feel uplifted, regardless if they see their exact complexion or if they see a complexion that's very different from theirs but has the same facial structure and things of that nature. I think that also is the main reason why, in my mother's case, she always taught me colorism didn't exist, because she wasn't specific on skin tone like that. Even though if she was, I don't get it when people say that they don't show many dark-skinned black women, when I could think of quite a few dark-skinned black female celebrities. Say, for example, um, Gabrielle Union, Kelly Rowland, Brandy, for example, I was thinking of someone else as well. Kenya Moore, and so forth. There's a lot of dark-skinned black women that have different phenotypes, and their phenotypes are celebrated. So I never really get why people act like dark-skinned black women aren't celebrated. Dark-skinned black men, and trying to go for attention from dark-skinned black men, they usually wear their self-hate on their sleeve. So no one really has to worry about it, because they're really telling everybody that they don't like themselves. And that's because dark-skinned black men will many of the time tell you that they don't want a woman that looks like themselves. I don't see dark-skinned black women being as vocal about this, whether they like black men or not, for that matter. With black men, you'll notice many of the time, whether they like black women or not, they're going to be vocal about not liking their own image. See, they could like black women with a whole different image than theirs, but the common denominator is, whether they like white women or black women, they don't like their own image, And to me, that will always go right back to the black man. The problem is, people blame black men for pitting black women who are dark-skinned against light-skinned black women, And to me, I think that they do this because they're just trying to distract from their own problems. The problem is not dark-skinned black men. They're just dealing with their self-hate in the most quiet possible way that they can, in a possible way where people can ignore that they're really the ones who are self-hating. The problem is the black women who fall for it, and they fall for it because they agree with them. So you can't really say they're not self-hating, because they honestly did not put the self-hate back on dark-skinned black men, and I think that's because they can relate, understand, and think the way they think of what black women is most likely the proper way to think of black women. Now, I wanted to address what someone else said about dark-skinned black women having the most self-hate. I personally think if you are entertaining black men who are dark-skinned, who appreciate oneself for looking as non-black as possible, those people have the most self-hate, honestly, because those are the type of people who basically understand that a person doesn't like their phenotype for what it truly looks like, but will accept the backhanded insult of saying that basically people like you for looking like what you aren't rather than what you are. Not really loving you for what you are. And to appease this, your self-esteem has to be in the bottom of the bottom of self-esteems. So to me, I don't really see it as dark-skinned black men's fault that a person would appease dark-skinned black men. I think that on dark-skinned black women's perspective and light-skinned black women's perspective, whoever will appease a self-hating individual is probably self-hating themselves. Added to that, I wanted to also talk about the skin tone thing. Honestly, I've seen much more dark-skinned black men try to call themselves brown-skinned instead of dark-skinned than dark-skinned black women. But even then, I mean, if we're talking about the exact color of a dark-skinned black woman, I think they generally are brown, so it's not really black in complexion, you know. So to me, I don't know. I just don't really think that dark-skinned black women are really the root of self-hate or anything of that issue, but I do think that many do appease dark-skinned black men who are self-hating, and so because of that, many of them fall into the same category as their dark-skinned black male counterparts. I do think that colorism starts with dark-skinned black men because, in my experience, from what I've heard, it's dark-skinned black men who act like it's better to be not dark-skinned than to be dark-skinned. And from my perspective, I never understood how I was supposed to see that as a good thing from their perspective. Why should I care what someone who has deemed their complexion inferior thinks of my own? To me, are they really even worthy of an opinion at this point? Because they condemned their own complexion. And at my perspective, it's kind of like, okay, well, if you are saying that you are less than or your complexion is inferior, then why would I listen to someone who has such bad self-esteem and doesn't like what they are? You know, I don't even care what someone like that prefers, but they act like it's such a good thing to be what they prefer when it's like, why would I want to be preferred by someone who doesn't even like themselves? So that's all I have to say in this video. I'm gonna be done. Like and subscribe, everyone. Thanks, and comment down below. Have a great day. Bye.